Okay, so we about Mr. Crittenden and that he wanted to be governor. He was a very ambitious person yesterday. He took the place of James Miller until he came, and they fought over something really important. What did they fight about? I mean, not like fist fight, but what?
About moving to like Little Rock.
Yes, because where was our first capital?
Arkansas Point.
Yes, Arkansas Post. Okay, but it was really too swampy at the time, and it wasn't very inviting for a lot of people, so they moved it to Little Rock. Yeah, it wasn't very attractive.
Is it still swampy?
Actually, no, because we drained it out for the soil. But good question.
Oil.
All right, so then James Miller was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back home and do my thing there. I don't really want to be the governor. So then Crittenden was like, hey, can I be governor, Mr. Monroe? And he said no. That's when George Izard came along. Was he excited?
Nope.
No, he was not excited to be the governor. And this was a picture of him. So yesterday we talked about how disappointed Robert Crittenden was that he did not become the governor. He was like, okay, fine. I'm just going to get people to like me, and I'm going to tackle the Native Americans. Remember, he tried to get rid of them?
That's kind of like saying you don't like someone and then punching someone right next to you. Like,
Right? Yeah. Basically. Okay. So this was that was where we left off. Okay.
I don't like someone.
All right. So we're going to continue to talk about Robert Crittenden. All right. But we have to talk about dueling first. Okay. So it was really common back then. Like if you know anything about Hamilton and Aaron Burr, Hamilton was the Secretary of the Treasury. Aaron Burr was Vice President of the United States. They got into an argument. The honorable thing was to duel to regain your honor. The normal thing was to aim above the other party, and fire. And for some reason, that gets your honor back. Burr did not raise his gun. Hamilton did, but Aaron Burr actually shot Hamilton and killed him. Okay. So usually dueling was to regain honor and to miss on purpose. Now, that didn't always happen. Okay. And they miss on purpose because that's how gentlemen do it. Why? I don't know. I didn't.
Shot him though.
cocaine was legal back then.
Right. So one of the famous duels in Arkansas was the duel between Robert Crittenden and his former friend, Henry Conway.
Wait, after Hamilton was killed, the person that killed Hamilton, did he get killed?
No.
So they don't die. Dueling is like a normal thing.
Well, yeah, but he killed him like immediately. He didn't raise his gun.
Yeah, that's you'll learn that story next year.
He killed a fly and then got killed.
All right, so the story behind Robert Crittenden and Henry Clay. Again, Henry Clay was a friend of Crittenden's until I think Conway called Crittenden a liar, which may have been true. I'm gonna make sure.
Called him or
Yeah, Conway called Crittenden a liar, and Crittenden challenged him to a duel. Oh, but because dueling was against the law, they met near the Mississippi River.
It's time.
And Crittenden shot Conway in the side, severely wounding him, and he died 2 weeks later.
Also, you weren't friends anymore.
No, apparently not. Okay. So again, Henry Conway called Robert Crittenden a liar. Robert Crittenden shot him in the side. And back then, what was their medical knowledge?
Not off your liar, hope they die.
Hope they don't die. Right.
Now you back to one get paid. What's wrong?
That's right.
Oh,
So
that stuff.
their technology
Oh, they survived.
was limited. Their knowledge was limited of bacteria and viruses. And so even though he was shot in the side and many people can survive that
Wow.
today,
People back then.
they could not survive it back then. Okay.
So basically, him and his friend were basically having a middle school drama back in the day.
Teachers, at this time, we are going to start having a fire drill. We are going to dismiss the 5th and 6th grade hallway at this time.
I like
Please go to your evacuation.
Awesome.
I don't
I get
think
to
they
edit
do that in a
this
real
out
fire
of
drill,
the
though.
video. That's great.
He would
So-
not do that in a real fire. He'll be like, "I'm in the 6th grade."
Wait, don't edit this out of the
Slowly
video.
out the door.
So because Robert Crittenden did this, the relatives of Henry Conway started to like form a group, a political group known as the Family. Sounds like the mafia. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Oh,
So
Very
have you heard
happy.
of Conway before?
I've been there. There's a really good thrift store.
Okay. So yeah, Conway and his family has the town named after them. That's how I don't want to say famous, but how influential the Conways were. Okay, so that's why I have this written here. The relatives of Conway created a group known as, it was a nickname, the Family,
People were very petty back then.
and they're not today.
I'm not saying they aren't today.
Oh,
I
okay.
just said they're petty.
I think you could say that's human nature, to be quite honest. I think it's human nature for us to be this way. Okay, yes, sir.
I did mess up.
Oh, that's okay. Trade me.
Actually, the Robert Clinton gang were
All right, so this duel actually changed the politics of Arkansas.
that's sad.
It kind of is, okay?
2 people died now.
So now we have something called political warfare. So I do want you to write this down. So because of this seemingly small event, actually turned out to be pretty major.
sounds like every.
There was a rivalry, and who had the word rivalry?
Me.
So what does it mean?
It means like where two people want something, so they fight for
Okay. Is that what you got, Athena?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So who's our rival? Who's West Fork's rival?
Greenland.
Greenland. Yeah. Yeah, we are. Oh, were you talking about the United States?
Yeah, I was talking about.
Oh, okay. So I'm in West Fork. Yeah. So
Actually, right now.
the Crittendens,
We can come back in. Just when you come back in, please keep the noise down. Thank you.
so the rivalry between the Crittendens and the Family were huge. So the Crittendens, and I left that abbreviated as C, they were part of a political party called the Whigs. Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, I love wigs.
That's because they had wigs.
That's right. And it was, the Whigs were
Power.
a throwback to Great Britain, who had the Whig Party. Okay. So they opposed a man named Andrew Jackson, who was president at the time. They didn't like his policies. Okay. And that's why the Crittendens, they supported them. The Family, on the other hand, were Andrew Jackson supporters, and they were Democrats.
So the Crittenden supporters were Republicans.
Whigs.
Wait. What's the difference?
There is a slight difference.
Because those Democrats, then they like support slavery.
Yes. Yes. Whigs couldn't make up their mind about slavery. So that's why they disappeared. And then Republicans kind of took over. Okay. I know it's a weird thing.
Didn't like between like 2000s.
All right. So not only do we have supporters from the different sides, they also take political sides. Okay. Okay. So not only were there political rivalries, do we have this all, or do I need to wait?
I have it on.
I can give you a
I
few.
don't have it all.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
Political
I asked-
warfare, basically. Every political
while you're waiting, so we've got the Arkansas Gazette, and we have the Arkansas Advocate. They are also dueling one another, insulting one another back and forth, or us insulting. Like the Gazette is insulting Crittenden, and then the Advocate is insulting the family. That kind of thing.
I need to get down.
It's like CNN versus Fox News.
That really happens where they just like.
Yes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. If you look at CNN, they'll say they may not come right out and say Fox sucks, and Fox News isn't going to outright say CNN is wrong or what, but they might actually. But they're kind of subtle about it.
I feel like what is it, NBC or whatever, Today Show or whatever. I like them. I watch them a lot, and they won't come out and say it right away. But I feel like they're more democratic than the
Sure.
Republican.
You will find that even TV shows, the other TV news channels are usually have a side, maybe a little more under the radar than
Yeah.
like Fox News or CNN. Okay, so this rivalry between Crittendens and the family heats up in a major way.
Rivalry. Wait, what?
So it was the Senate race of 1831, U.S. Senate race. So it said Ambrose Sevier, who was part of the family, he was elected to the U.S. Senate. It means he was in Congress in Washington, D.C. And it kind of solidified the power for the family. And the Crittendens really didn't make any, or didn't have any influence. So,
Hey, good job with the fire drill today. So just remember to leave the building quietly and come into the building quietly. Thank you.
so the family became a very powerful group up until the Civil War. So nothing really was done without the family's permission.
So a mafia.
So sounds like the mafia. Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
to say.
All right. So that was so the political things that were going on. And if only one group is in charge, how very democratic is that?
Not very democratic.
Not very democratic.
I don't keep up with politics. I don't know what's going on.
So just understand that the family had a lot of power. A lot of power.
How many plantations do you?
Oh, I have no idea. I actually have no idea about that. So if the family has all the power, what kind of decisions are they going to make about the Civil War? And what are they going? Well, we don't know that.
Confederate.
Major.
So they're going to make major decisions, right?
Two good ones.
Well, we don't know yet.
Yes.
We might find out later.
It's like possible.
So, and what are the people going to do?
Outrage.
They're gonna strike.
They're gonna pull a France.
He didn't really go on strike back then. That's
I think whoever's got the power, the people are going to
Overrule.
no, they're gonna do what they say. If they're that influential,
sometimes.
right? All right, let's take a look. Now, after George Izard, we had a new governor.
Oh, so he still went on with it, even though he didn't really want to.
Yeah. Okay. So you remember they moved the capital from Arkansas Post to Little Rock. And they really didn't have a building to actually meet. They would meet in other people's houses.
That's kind of weird.
I know. So the government set aside 10 sections of land for building a Capitol building. Okay. Because the governor at the time, John Pope, was like, hey, we need a place to actually meet and conduct, professional meetings with laws and whatnot. We can't just go to people's houses. That's,
Like, what if you're just eating with your family and the
I
government just comes in and starts talking?
right. So Robert Crittenden comes in and he's like, well, Governor Pope, I have got a deal for you. He's like, I already have some land and a house that's built on it that you could use for such and such amount of money.
Negotiation.
If you'll just give me those 10 sections of land, you can already have this thing. So Crittenden was so influential that it got passed in the General Assembly and came to Mr. Pope, and he was like, something smells fishy here. And he
What's next on
vetoed
the
the deal. You know what veto means?
list?
Turns it down. In Latin, it means I forbid. Okay? So he's like, I don't know if I don't think this is a good idea. And it turns out that the land that Crittenden wanted, that 10 sections of land, was worth a whole heck of a lot more money than what he was offering the state. Okay? So he's looking to make a profit off of it. He's looking to make money off of it. Pardon?
Is that everyone?
No. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I don't make a profit, or not much of it. So when the news got out that Robert Crittenden tried to do this, it ruined his reputation. Here's where it talks about how he died, or when he died. So it ruined what was left of his reputation and his career. So at the age of 37, like I was telling you, that he moved to Alabama to practice law. He died unknown things. Let's see if I can find out a little more.
Wait,
I'm
I was thinking maybe he killed. I was thinking maybe he committed suicide.
I don't think it was that.
Have y'all seen that one show where there's like a picture of Abraham Lincoln when he was dead and he's like laying there, and they made like this really big deal about it, and the girl
That's what I'm
thinks
gonna
that researched it. She thinks it's actual Abraham Lincoln,
Who?
and that's the 13th portrait of him ever known
Who?
that still exists.
Let's see what Wikipedia says about Robert Crittenden. All right, let's see his death. He died in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Okay, so that's a little.
Yeah,
If
Is it credible source?
if he's got enough.
Credentials.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's not. Well, the Wikipedia doesn't tell anything about his death.
You don't even circle anything about him.
What
No, look.
did you just say about what?
You can use Wikipedia as long as like it's a starting point.
Yeah, see, Wikipedia, teachers said never really trusted, which I understand why, but then
Yeah,
again,
but they'll trust.
if you try to edit it and
A
make
liberal
it,
arts degree doesn't mean you know anything, okay?
Hey, I have a liberal arts degree.
Wikipedia so
You
you
also
can
have
share
other
it.
things.
Has anyone actually tried to fix Wikipedia, or like, do they just like?
I tried to put in stuff
They,
in Wikipedia. it never
Oh,
worked out.
here it is. This is from the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, who I do believe actually. Okay, this is says blah 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 blah. Okay.
very good information.
Right? Yes. Okay, so after his defeat,
This is why we can't have anything like that.
There's a table there.
oh, I thought it was Alabama, but this is Mississippi. After the defeat, Crittenden continued to practice law. He collapsed and died on December 18th in 1834 in Vicksburg, Mississippi, while arguing a case. So he was in court while he was doing this. While there is no certainty, it is believed he is buried in Vicksburg. So we couldn't even exhume his body to find out really what happened. So maybe it was a heart attack or the stress or whatever. I don't know. So there you go.
He probably died because he was an alcoholic, but more than likely smoked.
And also, if it's
I'm gonna be like a child.
Okay, so that's what was happening politically. So if there's a lot of rivalry in the government, not a whole lot of progress can actually be made. Okay, so if you're arguing all the time, you can't agree to get things going. So there was some progress, but there was also some problems with Arkansas as a territory. So we already kind of talked about geography was really difficult to deal with. So especially in Northwest Arkansas, where there's a lot of woods, forests, it's really hilly. It's very difficult to clear the land for roads. And even if we had roads, there would be stumps in those roads, which were really difficult to remove at the time. The trails that were created eventually became roads. Now, I live on Butterfly Avenue in Springdale, but it hooks up to Butterfield Coach Trail. So if you've ever heard of the Butterfield Trail, anybody? Butterfield in Fayetteville. So that was an actual trail for people to travel on that eventually became roads.
Isn't there like a hiking? There's like a hiking trail going Butterfield.
I'm sure there is. Okay. But as those trails became well-traveled roads, people began to build houses on those roads and specialize maybe in becoming hotels or beds and inns or beds and breakfast kind of things. Rest stops for stagecoaches who were traveling. It also became roads for delivering mail. So stagecoaches not only transported people, but it transported the mail. So it was really interesting. In June of 1827, here are some Arkansas mail routes. And it says this Route 552 from Batesville, Arkansas, by the Little Red River to Little Rock was once a week. It was 124 miles. So they left Batesville every Tuesday at 6 a.m. and arrived at Little Rock on Thursday by 4 p.m. Anybody ever been to Batesville?
Nope.
It's south. Okay. So it took them 2 days, over 2 days to travel from Batesville to Little Rock. And you can do that.
It takes us like 2 hours.
But that'd be upward.
Okay. Okay. So from Memphis to Arkansas Post, it was once every 2 weeks. So they left Memphis every other Friday at 6 a.m. and arrived at the Arkansas Post on Thursday by 6 p.m. So it took how many days?
5.
6 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
I counted wrong.
No, you're good. It's all good. And then they would leave the post and go back to Memphis, and it would take the same 6 more days.
No, I did not like that one.
So, yeah. Ugh. From Little Rock to Arkansas Post, it was only 120 miles. And if it was a straight path, on Interstate, what is that? 30? That would take 2 hours. But it was once in 2 weeks. The mail traveled 45 miles a day. 45 miles. That's not much in our car. Okay.
We can do over that.
Yeah,
We can do over that in under an hour.
under an hour. You can do that in
90.
I counted
45
my grandma's
minutes.
house was about
If
40
you're on the
minutes away,
interstate
like
for
3
45 minutes, you've done more than 45 miles. Okay. But it took them from Saturday to Monday to get there.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
never want to do that because I feel like you wouldn't have a life.
Yeah,
Well,
you
if you're
wouldn't
getting
just
paid
be
for it.
traveling, like,
How much are you getting paid though?
I don't know.
The doctor's
But-
numbers that way, you're grinding that 2 weeks.
Food. So the reason I'm telling you about the mail routes is the better the roads, the faster the communication could be. If you can communicate faster, you can actually get a lot more done.
Wow.
But you got to think about that. How they transported things is really important because that's how they also communicated. They could not pick up their cell phones and say, "Hey, can you vote for this way?" No, they only were able to communicate with one another either in person, which still would take the same amount of time, or by mail. Like you actually had to write down things.
When was the
Exactly.
I can imagine emailing my friend, be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And then 2 days later, coming back with response, and then having 2 days later to go.
Exactly.
Response.
Yeah.
Wait. when did the first like airplane ever be made besides the Wright brothers?
I don't know.
Okay, because I was thinking, when
That's
did they do
the
that?
first
I just been
airplane.
testing
I'm
on
saying no.
2 days later,
Like,
I failed the test.
no.
Or like 19th.
All right. So continuing, still some progress. They still could travel using steamboats. So the Comet in the Arkansas became very famous for traveling up and down the Arkansas River. It says the Comet was the first steamboat to travel up the Mississippi and Arkansas rivers from New Orleans. Later, as many as 83 steamboats made their way up and down the rivers in the region. Okay.
Was it faster than going in a?
On the road?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, yes,
Depends
yes.
on what horse.
So again, steamboats are going to be the semi-trucks of that time period.
I just wrote crime boats.
Crime boats. But while we're making progress with roads and steamboats, there still was crime and outlaws. That was a really big challenge. So during its early years, getting rid of the criminals were difficult because the geography was difficult to go over, but there weren't enough law enforcement available. Right. So several individuals and groups stole livestock and robbed and killed unsuspecting travelers. One such group said the outlaw John Murrell, and there's actually a photograph of him right there, was one of the shiftiest criminals around. He and his gang caused problems throughout Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And some say that he dressed up as a reverend. What's a reverend?
No idea.
He's like a minister or pastor of a church.
That's kind of.
Okay, so what he did was dress up as a minister and would pretend that he was needed help or he was sick, and whoever helped him, he would rob. And he would steal slaves and then sell them again.
Yeah, God does not accept.
So he was nicknamed the Reverend Devil.
I'm related. He was like,
God doesn't.
I'm related to this one guy. His name's like Jack something. Not like, or I think his name was John. No, it wasn't this John. But I promise. He lived in like North Carolina, but he actually was a serial killer.
What does that have to do with this?
Said that.
The criminal.
Okay, yeah, we could talk about criminals all day, but we gotta relate it to this. Okay, so this was an issue. So this is just an example of some of the things that Arkansas as a territory was having to deal with that the government should respond to.
Did they ever like rob banks?
That I don't know.
Because that would
But-
be a lot easier.
But at this particular point, there weren't a whole lot of banks to rob. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Okay, because we're not settled. We weren't like a state. We were just getting settlers to come in. Yeah, so we're getting settlers to actually want to come out and move here. Okay, so that's why Fort Smith was created, was to help.
It's a fort.
Yeah, to protect the western part of Arkansas from Native Americans that might attack, but also to enforce and track down criminals from the U.S. Marshals.
Do they still use Fort Smith as a fort?
I'm not sure if they. I know there's a U.S. Marshal Museum.
I don't think we're gonna get attacked by any Native Americans.
No, but there's like U.S. Marshals that still are active.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it.
The US Marshal.
That's it.
US
Work for the
Marshal.
government. Yeah,
Like
Can
it.
we go back
large
to-
territory.
Go back to
Oh yes, I will go back to dueling. Boop, boop, boop.
You know the rules.
There it is. You're welcome.
Goodbye.
All right, awesome. So we have a little bit of time. I'm going to stop my live
I
stream.
thought I did out the fire drill.
You know, that would be weird. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stand here and watch this. I don't think so. The virtual kids would be like, what?
We'll take them on the
We
fire
actually
drill with
doing
us.
this to show the virtual kids.
Yeah.